And now, coming to you live from the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California, it's the Sheena Metal Experience with your host, Sheena Metal, only on KGRA Digital Broadcasting.
Hi, and welcome to the Sheena Metal Experience on KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. I'm your host, Sheena Metal. I'm a psychic medium. I'm an energetic healer. I am a 29 talk radio host in Los Angeles and beyond. I'm an interfaith minister. I'm a creative and a performing artist, and I come to you live from my home in Southern California every Friday at 3 o'clock Pacific time. This show is about spirituality, it's about humanity, it's about creativity, it's about passion, it's about service, it's about being and becoming your best you in this big, beautiful world, and then inspiring others to do the same. And it's true, it may be my show, but every week, without a doubt, it's always and forever your experience. My guest today is a wonderfully talented spiritual practitioner, amazing human, talk host in her own right, and also the co-owner of the fabulous Newmont Center here in Southern California. Please welcome to the show, the wonderful Audrey Newmont. How are you, my friend? It's great to see you.
Great to see you too. Thank you so much for having me. This is just a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
It's so fantastic to have you. And I don't even know what to say, except that it's a long time coming to have you here on this incarnation of the show that was radio and now is a web TV talk show. And I know you do a couple of those yourself, so you're used to it. But man, I do love being here with you.
Love being here with you too. I got to say, when you were telling everybody about you, I have been able to see you in that interfaith minister aspect of you
Yes,
in
you
that
have.
church.
You have spoken at my church, yes.
That was phenomenal. That was such a great, just a fabulous service. I really got, I was pleasure to see it.
You know, we've been online since COVID, and I do it every month. But I can't. It'll be, what is it going to be? 5 years in June. But I can't wait to get back out amongst people again. I think that COVID has made us sort of rethink our idea of what being together is.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of folks love gathering online. So pretty much all of my things, like when I met you, I went into a studio to do radio. I went into a studio to do video. Now my home is my studio, and I'm absolutely loving that. And then even gathering for church, right? It's a virtual gathering, and eventually everything will go back and do everything both ways. But I don't think we'll ever not do the online way as well. I think that's pretty much here to stay. What do you think about that?
I agree with you, but I have to say, there's a lot of people that are wanting to come into our place. As an example, you're coming in with a team of psychics, and we're
Yes.
having that psychic fair, and people love to be in person for that. So you all are going to be on a panel of the four of you, and all of you answering people's questions and giving your predictions, your ideas about what is happening now and what's to happen in 24. I got to say, I love that experience because number one, people do like to still be in person, and having the four of you, having one person ask all four of you a question and having you give all of the responses, it's just a lot of fun.
Yes. Now, so are you moderating that day? Because I did one 4 years ago, right at the beginning of 2020 with your husband Nick and with Vox,
right? And
I loved it, and I've been wanting to do one so badly. I thought I'd come back next month and do it again, and then we had a little pandemic. But I think, and you moderated that one, and I love that because you're so fantastic at keeping it all together and being so tuned into everybody's energy that you know just what to ask and just when to shift. And you people think I do a lot of that myself, and people think that's an easy job. And it's actually, I think, maybe the hardest job, because you're not just thinking about your answer, you're thinking about everybody's answers.
it's, it comes innately for me. Somehow or another, I seem to manage that part okay. It's not one of those stressful things. One of the things I like about that is a lot of times it's my clients that are sitting in the audience and I know their
Sure,
story
sure.
and you all don't know their story. And it's fascinating when, say, somebody asks a question and they are answering exactly what the person and I have been discussing in session. For
Yes.
me, it's a lot of fun because I get to sit back and especially when you all are saying what I've already said to the person, that makes it really fun.
Uh,
So, for me and my part of it, it's easy to moderate. I just, you know, do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I've always loved it too. And I started out when I was an artist before I came out of the psychic closet, just emceeing things. And even with, comedy, and I always preferred emceeing to actually doing a set because I loved being able to work with the audience in between and helping the energy flow from one comic's energy to the next comic's energy. I think sometimes we underestimate rhythm and flow. I think are such important words in our world, for on a, spiritually, emotionally, creatively, physically. So many things are about vibration and rhythm and flow. And to be a good MC, to be a good panel moderator, you have to know how to get into that, right? And then you sort of control that flow. And that's I understand it comes easy to you, it comes easy to me, but I think the average person maybe doesn't think about how difficult of a job that is and how talented you are, Audrey, to be able to do it the way that you do and to have
Thank
it come
you.
easy to you, because you kind of have to have your psychic eye on every single person in that audience, so what do they want to hear, what questions do they want us to be asked, how are they responding to the last question, how will that affect the next question, so it becomes this overall, beautiful vibrational experience for every single person in that room. And they're all so different and they all came in wanting different things, right?
Right. And it's also for the people online, just to be clear. I mean, it's a whole,
Yes.
not only in person. When you were talking about that part of being in flow, that's another part of being a therapist where you really have to pay attention to what the person is saying. Like as an example, I'm always when I'm in session with somebody, I remember like what they don't remember from years ago. And I just had an experience with somebody where this person woke up late, right? They woke up late from the morning and they didn't have anything to do, but they always wake up like say around 8 o'clock and they woke up at 9:30
Right.
and they were out of sorts. They were upset that they woke up late and they're just in the frustration of it. And I was like, well, did you have something to do? No, actually. And I got all my stuff done. But when she showed up in my office, she's still flustered about it.
Yeah.
And it came that part of what you just said. I said, there comes that point of when you recognize you're being rigid, when you're not, when you're looking at something and you're getting in the angst of it and there's literally nothing wrong, but you've broken out of your routine, you've broken out of that usual thing that you're doing. And it came to for her this understanding about how rigid she had been. Not that it's bad or wrong or anything, it's just obviously not working for her. And so there's a picture I have in our waiting room, and it's of this beautiful stream in Northern California at Lime Kiln. And I wrote on it, go with the flow. You got to go with that flow in life sometimes. And if you find yourself out of the flow, you're stepping back, it's like, why am I being so rigid? Really, what does this mean? And
Yeah.
for this person, she's like 74 years old. It's like, I think the first time in her life that she really got, oh, wow, you know what? I have to let go of this expectation of I should be up at this time or should be doing something. It was an interesting moment. And I think for all of us right now, because there is so much that's going on, it's like we have to reevaluate on a fairly consistent basis, realign ourselves on how to be in that flow,
Yes.
read the room, as it were.
Yeah, I live with this magic cat, and I've had this little guy since he was 3 days old. So I've seen him sort of grow and become everything. He's going to be 3 in April. And we all love all of us that love Buddha love the live in the now, and all of us cat lovers have a sign that says live in the meow. But but watching him, he unabashedly, now is the time for play. Okay, now I want to sleep. And he puts himself to sleep and he doesn't feel guilty because he's taking a nap. Now he's up. Now he's going to eat something. I think that we just watch how our animal companions work. Now, yes, I understand they don't have to pay rent. They don't have to go to work. We have to pay rent and we have to pay for them. But if you just take that out of the equation, so like if all of your work is done for the day and you're tired, take a nap, or put your feet up and listen to some music you like. Or it seems like we have to give ourselves permission to do these normal things. And when I watch my little guy, he doesn't have to give himself permission. He's like, oh, now I'm awake. Oh, now I'm tired. We put so much pressure on ourselves to do all these things. And I've tried, now that I live down here in the boondocks and the beach with him, I'm sort of trying to live more in the meow. So sometimes I say to myself, I'm tired. I'm like, you know what? Your bills are paid. You've got clients later today. You've done this, scratch 10 things off your list. Because sometimes I'll get up with him in the morning because sunrise is really his time. And then I think, you know what? He's going back to sleep. Why don't you? And I don't have to feel guilty about that. I don't have to feel guilty about time that's just for me, because I've done the things that I wanted to do. And my favorite time of the night is when I scratch all the things off the list that I got done. And then, you know what? That's wonderful. And you can't focus on the things that didn't get done. I think we spend too much time in our lives focusing on the things that aren't happening or haven't happened yet or didn't get done, and not focusing on the things that we've done and allowing ourselves to, you know what? Hey, I've eaten salads all week. I'm going to have an ice cream cone, or I'm going to take myself to a movie because, man, I've worked hard for 3 days. We never give ourselves that permission to just give back to ourselves. And I think when we learn to do that, we really get in the flow, right? That's such a change in life.
And it's a fabulous change as well. I mean, when you're in the moment and you're following that inner guidance and that part that says, you know what, it's okay, it's all right to do whatever that thing is. There's a grace with that. There's a freedom with that. And because we all live in such a busy, got to do this next, got to do that, and you're as you say, checking all the things on the list.
Yes.
There's that part of it where you got to back up from the list and just be in that moment. By the way, when you're talking about your cat, your magic cat, what is it when your cat, literally the dog wakes up because the cat is at the back door at 4 in the morning and I have to let them both in?
Oh, no. Oh,
Now
nice.
that kind of timing, I don't know about that.
Yes. Mine stays in all the time. So my problem is mine is fascinated with sunset. So people go, oh, cats, they're up all night. Not mine. He always goes to bed with me and we always sleep all night. But when the sun comes up, he is fascinated. So he's at the screen door. He has to watch the sunset. And then he's like, it's like it pumps him up. And then he wants to play and he wants me to hold him for 3 hours and sing to him. And it's just, and then, 3 hours later. So now it's about 10:30. That's it. Then he's out. And then he sleeps, pretty much till 8 o'clock at night. So I have to remember that this is kind of our life that we have, right? And it's okay if I get up with him and I work for those 3 hours, go back to sleep. Because the truth is, if you give yourself what you want, right, ultimately it's better for you. If what you want is to be more productive, if you're tired and you go back to sleep for a couple of hours, you're going to be more productive the rest of the day. If you really give yourself that cupcake or ice cream, whatever that you really want, then you're not going to eat a bunch of other bad stuff because you can't have that one thing. You can have that thing and then go back to the healthy stuff the next day. We spend so much time in a place of deprivation, right? And it doesn't get us anywhere. We're just like hamsters on a wheel. We don't even know what we're depriving ourselves of. We just think we're supposed to deprive ourselves of everything. And I've been guilty to that. But now I live in this place, right, where there's wildlife all around me. And I can hear, and I open my front door and I hear waves. And it's so quiet. When we first moved here when I was 13, I'm living in my childhood home. I hated the quiet. But now I love that quiet. I'm like, there's not a single noise. And my cat is, he's got to be at least part chartreux. They were bred by monks to be mute. So he's a silent cat. I mean, if he's crying, something's wrong. He doesn't make any noise. He has this cute little expressive face, and he's very into hugging and kissing, but he makes almost no noises. So it's like the whole house is so silent all the time. It's just me and the cat and my mom's ghost. And it's so, I'm really beginning to appreciate the beauty and the silence, and allowing myself to live in a place where I don't have to be stressing myself out all the time, and I don't have to be feeling guilty for everything I'm not doing. And I say that I'm probably the busiest I've ever been in my life, but I'm finding time to find the balance for all of it, and really trying to work with my clients in sessions to do the same. That it doesn't have to be this hard, right? Audrey, life doesn't have to be this hard.
Right, exactly. You know, that part of being in the silence, that, you know, because people are raised in whatever drama or trauma they're raised in. A lot of us were raised in that moment of, our parents have got whatever going on. I mean, the amount of stories that people tell me over all these years of, hold on.
Oh, I'll do it too. Let's break.
Yeah. So
Hey,
so for them there's a program, and this is something that is a real thing, and it's for a lot of people that come in. They have this program that's going, if I'm not busy, I'm not valuable,
right.
because in the busyness there we find our value. Or
Yes.
if things aren't busy, if things aren't chaotic, there's something. Like, for instance, as an example, when I used to, way back when, I used to look at somebody like me and be like, that would be boring. I couldn't even. You know, what I do now, like, I go on my solo camping trips and I sit in silence for days. And I would have thought back then that that would be the most boring thing ever. And now it's like, it's rewarding, it's enriching. There's a whole conversation that goes on inside of me, energetically, mentally, emotionally. And it's like the farthest thing from boring. But because we are raised in whatever our programs are, there is that part of it where, like, for a lot of my clients, they're in the busy, 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 and they don't make that time to connect with themselves. They don't
Yes.
make that time to be in that kind of silence that you're talking about. In
Yeah.
fact, a lot of people, it's like, I don't want silence. Like, they'll keep a TV going in the background all night,
Yeah.
or they'll keep whatever going on because they don't want to be alone. They don't want to be silent. And therefore, they don't make that time to really understand that connection that we all have. And that's been one of those things that I'm telling you, over the past, I want to say, like, especially the past year, I've really been honing in on that, not only with myself, but actually bothering my clients to the point where I created a spiritual and mental alchemy class that I do on Thursday nights, because in the sessions, we're so busy talking about what's going on with them, their challenges. I'm teaching them the tools that I teach and helping them to realign their lives and understand how their emotions create, and all the other things that I do, that we
Sure.
don't make enough time to really connect with the, what I call, the number one driver. Whatever you want to call it, source, intelligence, God, whatever that thing is. And I think that we're all in a moment right now where, as you already know, we're ascending and that veil is getting thin, and we're all able to really connect on a
Yes.
higher and deeper level. I've had some of my clients have, like, amazing experiences when they do take that time to realign themselves, to be in that silence, to connect however it is. And there's a gazillion ways to do that. But, it's that point of doing it. And you got to really recognize, why don't I want to sit still? Or why don't I want to walk in silence? Or do whatever the unconscious thing that you can do and connect. So it's a process. But when you're having a house like that and you're living in the silence and you've got your cat, just the cat alone is a connection, you know?
Oh, 100%. Yes. And it's, I kind of have to remember sometimes that I think when you work for yourself, and especially me growing up in the arts, um, it's always a struggle, right? It's all about the struggle and the hustle. And sometimes you just don't know how to get out of that mode, and how to do and things. And also, I think when you're an empath and you're a healer, you're so used to doing for others, you have to remind yourself it's okay to do things for you. And
Right.
um I remember feeling guilty because I had the air conditioning on so much, because this house never had air conditioning. We didn't really need it that much 40 years ago, but my mom spent a lot of time here later in her life sweating. And so one of the first things I did when I moved in was I put a new heater in and a brand new air conditioning. And I was sort of beating myself up when the first bill came. And I thought, you know what? You're in your 50s. You have a good job. You make good money. You only take care of yourself and the cat. If you want to turn your air conditioning on all day long, you're allowed to do that. And I realized how much that, growing up in the arts and that hustle and struggle, parts of me were still living like a 20-year-old, living in the struggle. Like, oh, what if tomorrow I don't have any money for salad? That's not my life anymore. And I think it's one of the most important things as we get older. We have to shift out of that and shift into this. Look, if I don't want to do something, or I don't want to do something that's unpleasant. I mean, there are things we have to do that are unpleasant, like go to the dentist and get a colonoscopy. But if I don't want to put myself in a situation that makes me unhappy anymore, I don't have to do it.
Right.
And for me, that was a hard thing, to give myself permission to have the me time, to make the decisions for me, to make me a priority. Lately, I've been using I think I'm going to do a workshop with this title. I've been using the hashtag choose you.
Right.
And I think it's so important, because we almost never choose us. We choose everything else before we choose us.
Right.
And now I understand I don't have a spouse, and I don't have children. I don't have grandchildren. I don't have siblings. I don't have a lot of I do have family that are like my siblings, and I do choose my family all the time. But you also can choose you. There's always some time to find something where you're choosing you, because otherwise you get lost in the shuffle.
Exactly.
And then you lose your center. And I always talk about this during my spiritual services, that there are 4 basic relationships that we have, right? Our relationship to us, our relationship to spirit, our relationship to the earth, and then our relationship to others. And most people do those in reverse order. Like, what do people think of me is the most important thing? Am I important on the earth? Does God hate me? And the last thing is always, am I connected to me? And you
Right.
have to learn to reverse those. Your connection to you is the most important relationship, right? And that's what I love about what you guys do at Newmont, is that you help people to become more connected and closer to themselves, which is the number one relationship in each incarnation, and the one we often sort of leave by the roadside, right?
Well, we've been trained to do that.
Yeah.
We've literally been trained to do that. And it's interesting that you said a few things in there that I found very interesting. And one of them is the part about being an empath. And it's fascinating. Well, before even that part of the conversation, that part about giving yourself permission, that's enormous with people. So what I do, I tell them, you just tell everybody that your therapist is making you do this, that it's making you, that I'm making you do these things that make you come first,
Yes.
because we've been raised as a society. I mean, look back at the 50s, how women were. It's like you put the husband first, you put the children first, and then you're on the back burner. And then we all learned from them, and it goes down generationally. And so when we're talking about giving ourselves permission, years and years ago, and this has been a process for me, years ago, Golden Arrow, Alexander was channeling for me, and they said, you need to be gone for a period of 5 to 7 days. And it was like, what? Alone by myself, not having the responsibility of these 3 kids? It was such a moment of literally like great permission. And it's been a process of growing that over all these years. And that was when they said to me, they said, if you don't come first, who else is there?
Right.
And that is it has stuck with me for all these years. And so when we put ourselves first and we come from the fullness of who we are, and we come from our cup is full, then instead of giving from this empty cup and you're just continually empty and, having all the effects that go with that, you're coming from, I'm full and I'm sharing this fullness with you. And there is a blessed place to be. I mean, it's important for people to do that, especially now. And so giving yourself permission to be the fullness of you and then share from that fullness, you're giving a lot more than you would be giving in any other way. And so then comes there that part that you were talking about, empath. And I would love to have your input on this
Yeah.
because what I'm finding, and this started a few years ago, I had this kid that came to me like 9 years old, and they came all the way up from your neck of the woods, from Orange County.
Mm.
And this girl couldn't find answers from anybody, the psychiatrist, psychologist, and finally they heard about me. And I'd never worked with anything like this, but talk about being an empath. This girl was hearing voices that were telling her to hurt her mother.
Mm.
And we worked through it and we got to the other end of it. And then I had another one, 13 years old. And now I had yet another situation just very recently where people are having intrusive thoughts. And this last one in particular, this person's very empathic. And so there has been a process of working through and understanding what's going on with them and literally able to do that part where they're rebuking, whatever these things are that they're taking on. And I think that when we're coming from the fullness of us as that first relationship that you're saying, and then that part of us where there is that relationship with whatever we call that divine, God, spirit, intelligence, source, whatever,
Yes.
and being able to use those two relationships to really rebuke or let go of all these influences that we take on, or I choose not to take it on because number one, I'm not looking at, like, for instance, a lot of people take on stuff from social media. And so there is a point to really understanding how we live in that fullness of us and be in the present and not take on other people's whatever that looks like. It can look like a whole bunch of different things. I'd love for you to
Yeah.
speak a little bit more about that because it's
Yeah.
such an important topic right now.
It's so hard. This is a hard time for empaths because so much stuff is coming at us all the time. And we're always feeling things, and it's hard to not take those things on as ours. It's just what we naturally do.
Hmm.
And there are, not everybody, not all of my new age lovelies agree with me, but I believe that the universe is a balance of darkness and light. And there are things out there that are not good for us, in the same way that, you got to be careful and protect yourself from catching a cold. You wouldn't do something dumb like not sleep for 3 days and then sit in the rain all night long. And then, you know what I mean? You have to protect your immune system. As an empath, especially, you have to protect your spiritual and your emotional immune systems so that you don't pick up negative things. And then there's negativity that you then have to find a way to get rid of. In the same way that, like I said, that we protect our physical bodies, right? We're learning so much physically now. And nobody doubts we have a physical immune system. We're learning so much about how so many things in life have to do with what the condition of our immune system is. How is our immune system? How many illnesses, diseases, psychological things, physiological things have to do with the condition of our immune system? When you're an empath, you naturally have a compromised spiritual immune system because you catch everything you encounter. And you have to learn how to not do that. You have to learn how to not. I teach a workshop, I've taught it for you, called Why Do I Feel Everything? About empaths and how your whole life you grow up and people tell you, why are you feeling so much? Why are you acting crazy? Why do you care about that? Because it's just the way that we are, right? I mean, a normal person, they're the channels like that big that they take information through, and an empath, it's like this. So everything's coming in, and we're constantly letting go of what we don't need. We're constantly filtering things out. If you don't know how to do that, yeah, you pick up all kinds of stuff. I mean, something even just like the war that's going on in Israel right now. I mean, you can't get out of bed and you don't know why. And it's because every night you're watching this stuff on the news and you're not letting it go. So I'm not saying that you can't be an empath and be an aware person who's involved in the world, because you should be. We need you. But you can't be somebody who allows everything you hear about everyone to weigh you down. I've been having a really hard time the last week or so, and waking up very depressed. And I've got kind of like, that the big doctor's appointment we do every year where they take the blood. I've been very worried about my physical health. And although I don't really have anything to worry about, there's no aches or pains or nothing's weird, I'm just worried. And I realized this morning that I have two friends that are kind of in the very, very throes of very bad cancer. And when I go one place, all we talk about is my friend that has cancer. And then I go the other place and all they talk about is my friend who has cancer. And I think as an empath, some of their worries and their loved ones' worries kind of seeped in and made me worry. And that's, you have to be so careful when you're an empath. And for folks that don't know, and I don't mean to ramble on you, people say, well, what's the difference? So sympathy, right, is you understand somebody's struggles and you feel for them. Empathy is you understand someone's struggles and you relate it to a struggle you've had, right? So I've never had a dog, your dog dies, I feel terrible, that's a terrible thing. I had a dog that died, your dog dies, I remember what it felt like when my dog died. Being an empath is like somebody's dog died and you feel like your dog died and you can't let it go. So you have to learn to let it go. And like you said so beautifully, it starts when you're little, right? It's kids. Kids are empaths and don't know why they're picking this stuff up. And that's why what you do is you're so needed, Audrey, because people are suffering and they don't know why. And all they need to know is, hey, guess what? You're not crazy. You're just an empath. I always start my empath workshop by saying, congratulations, you're an empath, and my condolences, you're an empath. And you just learn to make it work, right? And aren't they lucky that they're growing up in a time where people talk about it? Because when we were growing up, nobody would have told you that.
Oh God, no. And if you have emotions when we were growing up, you better get your ass to your room, you know?
Right.
I'm not kidding.
Forget about it.
Right? So there's a part
of a pickup truck and forget about it.
Right? Yeah, it's like, you don't discuss those things. You put those in that department and you gotta,
Yeah.
get yourself lined up. You gotta be back over here. So it's a lot of dissociation, it's a lot of like, don't deal with those emotions, which can create more empathic, behavior.
Yeah.
But there's another part of it. It's like that thing about worry. We were raised to worry. And
Yeah.
in certain cultures, it's like, oh my gosh, if you're not worried about somebody, that means you don't love them. It's like we were raised with beliefs around worry. So when my clients come in and there's that avenue where it's like I'm worried about whatever, there's a part of it where I literally will tell them, look, if you find yourself with the worry, it's like part of worry as well, because it's such a program, because that 0 to 8 time when we're literally at the influence of our parents, our older siblings, teachers, whatever. I mean, we just learn the program, and worry is a program. It's just what we do, it's who we are. So when you start to learn about how to deal with worry, it's now let's take it out of the program department. I mean, out of the program department and into a conscious choice about worry. And so, for instance, worry is one of those things where you have to first pay attention, where do you feel it in your body, because it's a unconscious program. It's just rolling all the time, so we don't even pay attention that we're worrying. We're just in the worry, which in the quantum realm, we're thinking, we're feeling on the department of worry. It's like you're saying, I know I'm healthy, I know my body's great, but here I am worrying about it anyway, because I'm looking at my friends, they've got shit going on, excuse my language, they have
No,
stuff
please.
they have stuff going on. I could be, and it's all these things that worry is kind of in the same kind of realm as anxiety, where
Yeah.
it's like, where do you feel it in your body first? So I think for all of us, and this is one of the things that is like first and foremost when my clients come in, is we have to start paying attention to, where do I feel when worry comes up? Like sometimes people are like, well, it's right here. I feel it in my head, or I feel it in my heart or my stomach, or sometimes it's other areas, but those are the most common. And so when you're paying attention, oh, I've got worry going on, then you want to put yourself into that critical thinking. Well, what exactly am I worried about? And then the key question in the critical thinking that you ask yourself is this true? So here I am in this moment. Do I know that I'm going to have anything? No, I have no idea, but I feel really good right now. So I'm going to stick with feeling good right now. And I'm going to know, like, as an example, I used to worry like crazy when my kids would be driving their cars, and I had good reason,
Well,
but I
sure.
would be worried. So in those moments where I would catch myself worrying, it's like I'm imagining something I don't want to happen. So I'd have to bring my awareness back. Do I know that's true? No, I don't know that they're going to get into a car accident at all. So I would replace that with, I'm going to know they're fine until I know otherwise, until I
Yes.
hear otherwise. And
Yes.
so when we're worried, there's that point of, I'm healthy and I'm building up my immune system. I'm doing all of these things. So I'm good to go until I know otherwise. And there's this big thing about, because you mentioned it about going to the doctor. This is a really big deal. And this is something that I get almost a little overly expressive about. But I have had so many people that go to the doctor and the doctor says, like, for instance, the doctor told me years ago, I mean, in my early 20s, and I'm 61 now, oh, you're precancerous on your nose.
Yeah.
I never ever have had cancer come up on my nose, but there was a part of me that worried, oh my God, what if I get cancer? And so the amount of clients that go to the doctor and the doctor's like, well, here's what here's the possibilities. And then, it's like for instance, I have this one male client in particular. And for him, because he does worry, it was like it would send him off the planet. And they would tell him, well, it could be this, or it could be that, or it could be whatever. So his mind is zipping all over to these could be's, and it scared the hell out of him.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I said, so here's what you do. The next time you go to the doctor, and this is what because I mean, this isn't only one client, this is a lot of people. So when you go to the doctor and they say, well, it could be, you stop them in their tracks. No, no, no. No, you tell me what it is for sure. And then I don't want to hear all of the possibilities of what
Yes.
it could be when it is. I want you to tell me what's the solution. What is it that we're going to do to eliminate this thing? And then you're not worried. You're in the zone of, I'm doing this. And there's one more thing about all this, because I think it's super important. And you brought it up with all these things that the doctors
I brought a
do.
lot of things up today.
Well, when the doctors tell you, like for instance, somebody has whatever. I just literally was at my holistic doctor. I have this woman who is a dear, dear friend of me, like my mother. I take her. And actually, I'm going tomorrow to this holistic doctor. And on my show, she was a couple shows ago. The doctors will tell you what they're trained to tell you. And most of the time, they're trained by the people that they make money from, and they're taught by the pharmaceutical companies and whatever. So a lot of doctors won't give you the solutions that are out there that are on the more holistic end. As an example, I took her to the holistic doctor, but before the holistic doctor, I took her to this woman who has a place where she has a EE system. It's an energetic healing system. She has a thing called a HOCAT. Have you ever heard of a HOCAT?
No.
Okay, it's like you're getting into a tube. You can look it up. It's like you're getting into a cocoon. And it does first it does this process where it opens up your pores. And then you're standing on these things that do rife energy. So it's an energy healing device where it literally resonates with the healing of your body. So if you have something like a low thyroid, or you've got something with your kidneys, or I went in it because I had hives and I had to work on my liver. And so then it's also doing infrared, and it's doing ozone therapy. And then while you're in it, you're also breathing in oxygen. So it's a multimodality healing device
Mm.
that I don't know any doctors have ever told any of my clients, hey, go get in that and it'll help you with system. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just went on a tangent, didn't I?
No, I loved your tangent. No, it's true. And it is all the what ifs. And that is what freaks you out. I mean, I know growing up a fat person, um, it's all you ever hear is all the things that could go wrong with you, whether they're happening or not. They're all going to happen, right? They keep telling you going to happen, going to happen, going to happen. And I have a friend who had weight loss surgery, and actually the one time she told me the reason that she had it was because every time she went to the doctor, it was all they talked about. And there was nothing. I mean, the numbers were not, she didn't have high numbers anywhere. My favorite is pre-diabetic, right? So I've been a diabetic since I was 44. So I'm 56. Everybody, oh, my blood sugar is 110. I'm pre-diabetic. And I always laugh and I say, look, we're all pre-diabetic until we're diabetic. Like
Right.
everybody's pre-diabetic. And the bottom line is, the older we get, usually your blood sugar starts to get funky. It's one of those things that happens when you get into for everybody probably in their 80s, so we're all pre-diabetic. It's just a matter of when. But it scares people into thinking they have to load up on drugs and they have to load up on all this stuff, and they're not even diabetics yet.
Right.
And,
that's my point.
And it's like with all the Ozempic and all, these people on Ozempic, and they have like 10 pounds to lose, and they're not diabetics. And I'm like, how is it hurting your body to be taking this hardcore diabetic medication and you're not a diabetic? That can't be healthy.
I will tell you, because I have a girl that I know who works in the hospital, and she said that they have all kinds of people that are coming in now. This girl has no agenda whatsoever. They're taking that particular drug and they're coming in and having their gallbladders removed.
Yep.
A lot of people. And so that's my point with everything.
And spleens, I've heard too, lots of spleen removal.
Right.
We need our spleen. Like it's not necessary that you have your spleen, but it's a good thing to have to fight infections. And why are you taking a drug that you don't need? I mean, if you need it, I understand. Look, if your blood sugar's way up in the 300-400s and it's the only way you can get it down, that's what it's for. But it's not for a bunch of normal people to lose 10 pounds and then wind up with an intestinal blockage that kills them.
Right, exactly. And there's something else that people don't understand. It's like when I was in my late 40s, early 50s, my body's just started gaining a lot of weight. And I was like, I don't even know what's going on here. And I went on one of my camping trips, and I hardly eat anything on those trips, and I was still getting larger. Come to find out, I was a toxic wasteland. So when we're toxic, you can do all these different things, and your body holds on to weight. It's a way of protecting itself,
yes,
kind of. And so it's
absolutely
important for
a way of protecting itself. Yes.
And so it's important to get sometimes when we're looking at weight, there's various things that are going on, and sometimes it's not something like that is going to fix. And that's again why I really highly recommend going to somebody who is able to, like, there's all kinds of holistic people now that will look and say, in the system, because that would be a part of maybe the digestive system or the lymphatic system or whatever the system is that is creating an abundance. And so when you're able to make those adjustments and you're able to make whatever that is, because sometimes it's not about what we're ingesting. And it's important to recognize maybe there's an underlying reason for these things instead of, let's just take this so I stop eating even more, and I think that this moment there is a great bunch of new information and new tools, all kinds of things that we can do that really look at the full system instead of just taking something that's going to have to remove my spleen. You know what I mean?
Or block my intestines until I pass. Yeah, no, but I think we're all looking for that quick fix, right? We're all looking to like take a pill and then not have to think about it. But the truth is we do have to think about it. And we have to think about things from a spiritual perspective, eating and sleeping and hydrating. These are all spiritual things as well. They're not just physiological things. You feed your mind, your body, your spirit, you're at the same time, right?
Right.
And just changing, like, what am I eating? It doesn't mean, look, you can't have things that are fun. You can't have a bowl of popcorn with butter on it. But what am I eating? And so much of what we're ingesting is so full of chemicals. I mean, you look at all these, not to put my foil hat on, but you look at all these illnesses. So many of us now have autoimmune diseases. People are growing up on all different kinds of spectrums. And we wonder, where is this all coming from? But then you look at what we eat and it's just so many chemicals. And it's so easy just to eat at home. It's so easy to make your food. It's not hard. And
Right.
it's so easy. The grocery stores have great deals on things. You can get healthy food as cheaply as you can get unhealthy food. And it doesn't mean you have to live your life doing nothing but eating tofu, but you can there's healthy things that you can eat. And my stomach blew up, in the fall, and I had acute gastritis. And so I cleaned it out and started being very careful about what I ate. And for a couple of weeks, I ate nothing but chicken breast, eggs, edamame, and avocados. And it fixed my stomach, and it's happier than it's been in years. So man,
Right.
every morning when I eat lunch, what's my morning? I before I eat anything, I have that little avocado, because I really believe that thing fixed my stomach.
Right.
So it's just as easy to do that than it is to go get a frozen pizza. Or you want a pizza, make a pizza. There's all these like hacks all over TikTok and Instagram, all these fun things you can
I
make
love
yourself.
watching that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, how to make this pizza, how to make that, make it yourself. But
Right.
just look at what, when I order online, because I'm so busy, I don't have time to shop, and I go pick my groceries up. And if you order online at the grocery store, they have a thing, they'll show you every ingredient in everything. You can
I
do
like
all
that.
of your label reading at home and figure out what's healthy, what's not. If I'm going to get this soup, what's the one that has the least amount of chemicals in it? And it's so such little things like that, right? How much water am I drinking? Can I just up my water by 2 more glasses a day? Can I make sure I find something that makes me laugh 10 times a day? How much am I smiling? How much am I telling people I love them?
Hmm.
It's all just like little things to heal you, right? It's not big giant things.
But you said it in what you said. You said we have a belief. And that's what the bottom line is. And either you're going to change your belief because your body is telling you, like I did. I mean, I used to love Cheez-Its. And now I look at them like they're little pieces of cardboard. I can't
Oh,
eat it. And
okay.
so I had to change my beliefs around things because my body was literally not going there anymore. And
Yeah.
so it
No more
forced me.
cheeses.
But yeah, but you know what? When you're looking at your beliefs around food, why do I eat? Is this comfort eating or is this to fuel me?
Yeah.
Is this and one of the key things that I'll tell people, firsthand touch by the sun, eat a lot of it, and organic firsthand touch by the sun, secondhand touch by the sun, grass fed, organic, that kind of thing. And then in the balance of things, of course, we're going to have those cheat moments. But again, you want to be reasonable about it. You want to look at, and then here's the key: pay attention how your body's feeling, especially when you eat those things that are in the third category. Does it feel good? It gets to the point where it's like, oh man, you know what? I don't like feeling bad all the time. And that'll help you with the belief system. It's a process, you
Yeah.
know.
And there's all kinds of fun things you can eat. It's not like I'm like the mom that gives out raisins on Halloween. I'm not being that lady. Like there's all kinds of fun things that
Right?
you can eat that are fun, but you just have to be a little careful to make sure you're not piling on you want some ice cream, make some, or find something organic, or you want a Reese's peanut butter cup, look into making one. It's just staying away from the so many chemicals, because I really believe that all these chemicals are not good for us. And then we take all these drugs and we compile on top more and more chemicals. I stopped seeing I had this cardiologist that I loved because I had a problem with AFib for a while, as you know. Luckily, 4.5 years, no AFib. Yay.
Yay.
And my cardiologist was a god, and he retired, and this young guy inherited his practice, and I was seeing him for maybe the second, and every time I went, it was, he wanted to put me on 6 blood pressure medications, and he wanted to, every time I had to go have an echocardiogram, and then it was like $5,000. I mean, it was just out there, right? And then one time I said to him, look, I don't need to go on all these medications. I'm also taking red yeast rice, and I'm taking alpha lipoic acid, and he said, there is no medical proof that a supplement has ever worked for anything. And I thought, okay. And that was the last time I saw him. How can you say that?
I'm
And I'm
medical
not
proof.
saying the Eastern is 100% replacement for the Western. I'm saying we need to work together on these things. We need to combine modern medicine and ancient medicine and find the best of both things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot that doctors are great at, and I think we need them and their expertise on a lot of things. But when they don't, like for instance, I was giving birth to my third child. I was taking blue cohosh and I was taking other things, and I was high risk because I was 41. And there was a point to it where they were like, well, this is all new. We don't know we don't know anything about that. And I'm like, well, it's not new at all. The earth grows this and has been growing it for a very long time.
Right.
It's just new to you
It's
because you're
old,
not being
actually.
taught,
Very old.
right? Yeah, so I think it has, like you said, to be a mix where you're incorporating both things. And when he says there's no proof, I'm living proof. There's a lot of us out there that are living proof,
Me too.
and it just is what it is.
Yes, me too. 100%. You are so wonderful, my friend. Let's do this. Let's do a part 2 soon. I
Yep,
would love that. Let's get you
absolutely.
back soon. Where can people find you and find out about everything you're doing and see you, except when you're on your solo camping trips?
You can catch me on my website, audreynewmont.com. I have that podcast that I do that's conscious mind tripping, and that's on YouTube and on Facebook. And you're going to be on it very soon.
I am.
You're actually going to be in house in February,
I
so they
am.
can go to
Hopefully, yes, we're working on it.
I'm so excited. So you can go to newmontcenter.net, and there's all the information about all of our events on our calendar page. And you can call me at 818-665-6165.
Sounds good. Thank you for being here, my friend. I love and adore you, and I
Thank
can't wait to
you.
see you in February on the 18th at the Newmont Center.
Absolutely. I will give you a huge hug on that day. Thank
Yay!
you so much for
It's
having
been
me.
so
This was
long.
fun.
You're so wonderful, my friend. Thank you to Audrey Newmont. If you missed those links, you can go to sheenametalspiritual.com and find out everything about me. I'll send you anything you want to know about Audrey and any of the shows that I do. sheenametalspiritual.com, or text me and let's get to know each other. 818-437-0886. And of course, I'm everywhere on social media: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and X, formerly Twitter, at Sheena Metal. Until I see you next time, you can do these things for me. Seek peace wherever you go. Lead with love, because love is all there is. Embrace kindness all the time. Live in a place of unity. Work always to raise not only your vibration, but the vibration of those around you. And in doing so, you will be raising the vibration of the everything. And most importantly, know that you are love and you are loved, and you're so loved by me. Thanks to KJRA Digital Broadcast Network. Thanks to my wonderful engineer and producer, Emery, who is the wind beneath my wings, and my fabulous guest, Audrey Newmont. Until I see you next week, you take care of you. I'm Sheena Metal. This is the Sheena Metal Experience. Stay beautiful. I'll see you next week.